Hi guys, it's Rike here and welcome to another video. If you're new here, my name is Rike and I review a lot of activewear. So if you're into that kind of stuff, you just keep watching. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the evolution of the booty scrunch, the glute accentuation, the thing that people are so obsessed with these days. We will go a little bit through different styles, different things that people or activewear brands have been doing to try to accentuate glutes, and they'll go from like light to more extreme. This is at least the idea I had. And this is all pieces I've already had in my closet. I will also be talking about a few pieces that from my personal taste, I find a little bit too extreme, and I'll include some pictures if I can find them. And yeah, let's get started. So I have a few leggings for you to try on, of course. And let's just start with like very back in the day. This is not what I'm gonna, start. I'm not gonna show you that on because it's just very basic stuff. There are like, even these days, you still have a lot of seamless leggings that do not actually have any seams in the back. And it's a lot of unibutt happening. Still to this day, you can get a lot of unibutt, especially in seamless leggings. In seamed leggings, you do have a little seam in the back, right? And then we had straight across glute seams, very low sitting glute seams. They're just cutting off the glutes. They are no good, right? They're not good for like glute accentuation. And if you don't care about that, then this is probably perfectly fine for you. Now, I don't need a ton of glute accentuation, and I'm personally not the biggest fan of a booty scrunch, but I do like a little bit of, just a V glute seam, just a proper seam in the back, stuff like that. That's kind of what I care about mainly. But I know there's a lot of people who love a good booty scrunch. But we will start with some leggings that do accentuate the glutes without having a scrunch. They just have a nice V glute detailing. They have a nice proper seam in the back. So there's nothing wild about it, but it is kind of the baseline we will start with. And as my example legging for that, I did pick my all-time favorite Buffbunny collection legacy leggings that we have here. And I'm starting to show you the bag right away because this is what we care about today. So these ones have a triple seam glute detailing here in the back. So it's really accentuating the glutes it's just a visual, right? Like it's just optical illusion. It's not really giving you more glute separation or anything because the seam does not go in between the crack, right? And there is no invisible scrunch or anything. It is really just like an optical kind of illusion type thing because we have all these seams kind of like going there, but like not really doing much with it. It's just sitting on top. And then of course we do have a proper seam here in the back. Otherwise, these leggings are made from like a super soft double brushed fabric. This is the Nuber fabric, 74% nylon, 26% spandex. These are ultra high waisted, which I personally love. No top seam, no front seam, and we have a side seam detail here as well. But again, that's not the focus of today. This color, by the way, is called Rainwater Blue, also one of my favorites. But why we are looking at these today is the glute accentuation, the glute detailing. And you know what? We should just go ahead and see these on. Let's do it. All right, first leggings here. So these are, just my all-time favorite Buffbunny collection legacy leggings in one of my all-time favorite colors, Rainwater Blue. And these are ultra high-waisted, so they definitely come up very high. So my natural waist is there, but if it's too high for you, you can always fold them over a little bit. Not a problem. And we do have like a medium amount of compression here. No front seam, no top seam either. They are a 7/8 length on me, or like a slightly bit shorter maybe. And then you do have the side seam detailing going all the way down and then splitting up and going down. All right, but that's not why we're talking about these leggings today, are we? Is it, right? So what this is like, or what's important about these, of course, is what happens in the back. Sorry, I was just getting distracted by, it's very windy outside right now. Anyway, and there's a bird. We do have the triple seam glute detailing here, and you have a proper seam in the back. Now, again, there's no scrunch, there's nothing, but like just the fact that you do have this triple seam glute detailing kind of like, gives you an optical like help with the glutes. I personally think, at least. There's nothing going in between the cheeks, of course, but like you get separation, you get glute accentuation through the triple seam glute detailing. And that is kind of all I personally need, right? Like for me, this is like plenty. I like that. Also a normal V is enough, but like I like the triple seam glute detailing here. And it just gives you, yeah, like a little optical lift kind of, and accentuation, of course. And this is kind of our starting point. Yeah, I would say let's not talk much longer about these. Even though I love these leggings. Let's just move on. Okay, next up, I want to talk about now we go a little bit more into scrunches, right? Because I feel like we've seen the most extreme you can go without a proper scrunch or having done anything to the actual seam in the back. Now, these are seamless leggings, and I think we all know that Gymshark has been doing something with the scrunch for a long time. So these are actually some older Gymshark Adapt Animal seamless leggings. And you can see we have that typical Gymshark, I'm just calling it a butthole scrunch, because it's literally just sitting there. It is very short, kind of just looks like a little butthole, and it's just sitting there. So there's no proper seam or anything, and we just have this short kind of butthole scrunch. To be fair, for me, that never did anything. Some people loved this, a lot of people didn't mind it, but like for me personally, I was always like, what is going on? What are we doing here? But yeah, this is kind of where we're starting with the scrunches. So we do have a wide ribbed band here, not wide, but like, oh yeah, it is that kind of wide, but it's ribbed. Not like structured, not tiered or anything. It's also not horizontal, it's vertical. And then you just have this textured kind of like seamless fabric. It's a little bit thicker. The Adapt is always a little bit thicker. And this is kind of like a leopard kind of print, but in a nice teal color, because I'm also not the biggest fan of animal prints, but yeah. This one is okay because I like the color. We have Gymshark here and their logo at the bottom of the leg here in the back. And yeah, the main detailing that these ones have is this scrunch. I did not keep these because of the scrunch. In fact, like I would have wished they came without the scrunch, just a proper seam in the back, but this is also why I'm including them today, because they have this scrunch. This is, like I said, the signature kind of seamless scrunch that we started out with, and then it has been, I don't know if I want to say perfected, but it has been improved for sure. This is also not it's not a stretchy number, right? This is like very, very stiff and solid. It's just there. On the inside, by the way, in case you're interested, it kind of looks like this a little bit. So yeah, not too much of anything, but this is what we're starting with actual booty scrunch. And you know what? Let's not talk about this much longer. Let's see these on. All right, so here we have the Gymshark Adapt Animal Seamless Leggings. I hope they're not looking too dark, but you can see we have the little leopard print on here. Gymshark logo on the side, and then also the back of one leg. I think it's this one. I don't know if you can see it, but like there's a Gymshark logo there. And these ones are definitely not like the very first ones where we saw this weird butthole booty scrunch, but they have them. Let's talk about the other features first though. We have this wide ribbed waistband, not a ton of compression for me personally, because I'm smaller here than here, and I sized for this part. And then you do have like a 7/8 length on these, kind of a little bit shorter maybe. And then, yeah, in the back we do have that beautiful butthole scrunch thing. I will come a little bit closer still so you can see it in its full beauty. I don't know. I don't think it does much, honestly. Like, I would have just preferred a proper seam in the back for some glute separation. And this just like sits on top. And there's nothing I can do to not make it sit on top, honestly. So like, there's nothing to be done. There's not enough fabric to try to shove it into the crack, and even if I did try that, it would just come undone when I start moving. Like, this is not really designed to go places. It's just sitting there. They would have needed to change a lot more for this to work as a good scrunch. So, yeah. And yet they keep doing it. Although I feel like they've realized that some people don't like this, so I think recently there's been more launches where there was an option to get the same legging with or without it. I've definitely seen that happen. They also have made other types of scrunches happen, or just no scrunch at all. So there's been different options now. But yeah, for me personally, this is like, what is happening here? What are we trying to do? Like, I don't get it. You let me know what you think about this type of scrunch. But I think this is kind of like the lowest level scrunch that we're going to be starting at, because it just doesn't do anything. And it's just weird, and I don't like this one. I do like the leggings though, right? And also if you squat, like I personally can feel it a little bit for sure. Like it is just tight there. So yeah, that's this one. The Gymshark OG butthole booty scrunch. Let's move on. Okay, from this little scrunch, we're moving on. And there's two different styles of scrunches that I think come next in the line of like booty scrunches. So on the one hand, we have, and this is on like non-seamless leggings, we have this invisible scrunch, like here, that kind of stretches out, and when you have it on, you don't actually see it anymore that it is a scrunch. But we also do have a seam here in the back that doesn't look like it's a scrunch, but it is a thicker seam that kind of just goes right in between the glutes. So these are invisible scrunches, but like in two different ways. And we will first talk about the non-seamless option, and then we'll go into the seamless option, because I think they really just come in one or the other, basically. So first up, for the non-seamless option, this invisible scrunch is the Gymshark X Whitney leggings. These are actually from this summer. They have re-released them a few times and a few different colors, and now we have this color from this summer. So very like intense orangey red. I did get these in a size medium. Yes, I did. They do have a very slight top seam, no front seam, and then this double seam detailing here, no side seam, and then in the back we do have a little V for the glutes, and then this scrunch. And it is invisible, as I already mentioned, because it does stretch out. So once you put it on, it kind of just like becomes invisible, but it still helps to get a little bit more in between the glutes because it is stretchy, and because there's a little bit more material, it can really get in between. Now, if you're in between sizes, like me, and you go for the smaller size, you probably will not see the effect as much. But if you go for the bigger size, it's a little bit easier to see the glute separation. I still find like on me, it's not as extreme, but there is a little bit more accentuation, a little bit more like, just a little bit more outlining kind of. What I like about these ones is they're not stiff, so you don't really feel it that much when you have it on. In contrast to the Gymshark booty scrunch that just sits on top there, that one you can feel, or I personally can at least, and it bothers me. But like this, you don't feel as much because it moves with you and it stretches. So you can also see it on the inside here, how stretchy it is, right? So this one is also a little bit less obvious. It's just a little bit less, on the nose kind of. And yeah, let's see it on. All right, here are our Whitney X Gymshark or Gymshark X Whitney leggings, whatever. So honestly, I've tried these both in small and medium. I do have some of them in small, some of them medium. With the medium though, I feel like I get a little bit more out of the invisible scrunch because there's just a little bit more fabric to kind of also mold itself to my butt. Otherwise, it's a little bit harder to get like a little bit of extra fabric to kind of go into that crack area kind of, I still don't find it super extreme, but I think this is a nice level. Anyway, let's talk about the other features first. So this is a fun color. They are high-waisted. We do have like a slight top seam up top, but it's really just a very slight top seam, no front seam, double seam detailing, and 7/8 length. You see that's kind of the theme, always 7/8 length. And then in the back, you do have the double seam detailing continuing, and now you cannot see this scrunch anymore. This is why it's called invisible scrunch. You cannot see it anymore. But maybe you can kind of tell a little bit of a difference between how these leggings fit around the cheeks versus how the Buffbunny collection legacy leggings fit around the cheeks. Because I personally feel like here with the invisible scrunch, it goes a little bit more in between. It gives a little bit more separation, like a little bit more physical separation as well, not just like an optical kind of thing, but like I feel like it just goes a little bit more. And depending on how you arrange things, you might be able to get it a little bit more separated, but so like it just goes in between the cheeks just a tad. Like it's not super intense, but it's just doing it a little bit. And this is kind of what most of the invisible scrunches will be doing, just a little bit more going in between here. So it's nothing too wild, right? And like now that I have this on, you can't see that there is a scrunch. When I move, I don't feel it because it is stretchy. And also after a squat, it does stay put a little bit more in between the cheeks. This is why I like an invisible scrunch, like it kind of works. It doesn't inhibit my movement. It is not uncomfortable and it stays in place. So if it's scrunch, then this is kind of something I like, and it's not nothing too wild, nothing too intense. But yeah, let's see the next one. Now we're coming to that other kind of invisible scrunch thing, although I hesitate to call it a scrunch because it is not really a scrunch. but it still has kind of the same effect as the invisible scrunch that we just saw of getting a little bit more in between those cheeks without having that actual scrunch part. These leggings are the Shape Seamless leggings from Amen Sportswear, from a Swedish brand. By the way, I also recently reviewed a different color of these, and I can just link that video up there in case you're interested. And this one, basically on the inside, you can see we have that extra piece here that's kind of sewn onto this seam. And that really, like, it's a stiff seam. This one also does not move, but like it really gets in between there. I honestly don't know how they do it, but like it does. The seam also looks different than some of the other seams on here. So you can see the seam that's being used to sew the waistband on. That's definitely a different seam than this one. The leggings themselves have like this ribbed waistband, also horizontal, vertical ribbed, not horizontal. No front seam, no side seam. Seamless legging. And then in the back, we also do have this V-glute detailing that Amen always does. But yeah, that in combination with that seam that really gets in between the crack, like in between the cracks, in between the cheeks, kind of really helps to accentuate the glutes. But again, it's less on the nose because you don't really see that there is a scrunch. You can just tell like a little bit, there's a little bit more glute separation happening than maybe with a normal seamless legging that just has like a fake seam in the back or a proper seam in the back, because it just kind of goes a little bit more in between the cheeks. Also Tone Silicone logo in case you're interested. It's a very soft, stretchy seamless. Yeah, for this one, for example, I usually tend to go for my smaller size small, because the fabric is so stretchy. But I have no doubt that maybe there would be more glute separation. I'm not saying I have no doubt, but maybe. I assume there would be more glute separation if I went for the medium. So, you know, there's always like things you need to think about. For me personally, because the glute separation is not such a big deal, I stick with what fits me best. But if the glute separation is a bigger deal for you, maybe you would consider sizing up if you're in between. Not in general, but like maybe if you're in between, right? If the glute separation is something you care about. But anyway, let's see this on. Let's see how the glute separation is with this type of back seam. All right, now a different type of invisible scrunch, even though it's not really a scrunch. But again, let's talk about the other features first. So these are seamless leggings, nicely high waist. So you can see they come up quite high actually. So high that it's kind of rolling on the sides sometimes because they're just higher than my natural waist. This is also a very light color, so it's not like super squat proof, just keep that in mind. And we do have this wide ribbed band here that gives you a little bit of compression, nicely tight around the back as well. And then overall, most of the rest of the leggings, not very compressive at all, very, very lightweight, very comfortable. And yeah, kind of 7/8 length. Could pull them a little bit lower, but that's that. And then we come to the back part. So remember, it wasn't that long ago I showed you. It's literally just like a tighter seam kind of in the back. No scrunch, nothing, but just a tighter thing. And that also kind of makes its way in between the cheeks here. And I think actually here the effect is a little bit more intense than with the invisible scrunch with the Whitney leggings. So you can definitely see that there's full on from the start to the bottom, from the top to the bottom, you can kind of see the separation here. And that is already, you know, kind of like, it's still okay for me, but at some point I'm like, okay, this is enough, right? This is all I need, like cheek separation, there you go. And because it's also such a lightweight material, it kind of feels like, you know, the cheeks are just bobbling around like they always do, and then you just really have that glute separation there. And there's no under glute detailing, nothing super tight to like kind of like, I don't know, lift up the cheeks some more, but honestly, I don't feel like I need that. And we also do have the little V here for the glutes. So that's an addition. That also helps. The seams are otherwise also nice and high, but you have the V, and then you have the tight seam that really just makes its way in between the cheeks. And you don't really have to do anything for that to happen. When I squat, I can feel the tightness a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it ripping. So it's not overly tight. It's not like I can't do it. I can feel it a little bit, and it's kind of at the border of this is still okay and this is too much for me. And yeah, after the squat, it still stays in place. I do not need to move it. It's kind of just remaining there and just separating the cheeks. So that is a clever way of doing it as well. That doesn't look obviously like you have a scrunch there, right? It just looks like a normal seam, and that is it. And I also do like that. Like I said, it's a little bit more intense. I don't think I'd reach for it every single day, but it's an option. And these leggings are called the Shape Seamless leggings because of that. But yeah, let's move on. Okay, last but not least of the leggings that I do have here to show you is maybe the first seamless legging, at least the one that I know of, that really, really went for that glute separation that people were raving about for years. And they made so many different colors. And I think there was like updates to it as well. I do have like one of the original ones. And the leggings I'm talking about is the Alphalete Amplify leggings. So I have this in this green color. Again, like I've had this for a while. And they've definitely made some tweaks to it. And they've moved on to like even more intense like glute accentuations, like different just updates, improvements basically. But I feel like this is kind of like the OG when it comes to proper seams on, especially on a seamless legging, but like just in general on like a proper scrunch. Yeah, so I feel like I needed to include these. And after this, I will be talking a little bit more about some of the other newer seamless leggings that have added like a lot more intensity to the whole glute accentuation game. And again, this is not personally like for me, but there's definitely people out there who like it, and that's perfectly fine, right? But anyway, we'll talk about the Amplifies first, and then we'll see them on, and then we can talk about the others. But yes, so these are a good seamless legging. We have like stretchy material here. You do have this 3-tiered waistband. So like it's like the kind of like the stretchiest up top, and it gets a little bit more compressive the further down you go. No front seam, no side seam. But then the back, of course, is the thing that we're most interested in, right? So you do have a slight ribbed kind of triangular glute detailing here, very slightly, and then you can see the scrunch. So if you remember the Gymshark Scrunch, this is kind of like an evolution of it. And this doesn't look just like a butthole anymore because it actually does go all the way down. It is a little thinner, I feel like. It's a little bit less like, there's just there, right? But it is there. And it goes nearly all the way to the gusset. And I think they've also played around with like, oh, does it actually touch the gusset? Does it go a little bit higher? Does it go a little bit lower? And this one nearly touches it, but not fully, right? And you have the scrunch all the way here, like on the side. Now this again is not a stretchy scrunch. This is solid, it's there, it's not really moving, which is personally what I do not like about it because it just feels a little bit restrictive for me, at least it used to. But it does give you a little bit better glute separation, and this one also goes a little bit more in between. I feel like for these style of scrunches though, you always have to work a little bit. You have to kind of work it in there a little bit. And I personally do not like that. I feel like that also makes it move, it moves around a little bit and you have to adjust. But yeah, so this is kind of like the OG kind of like, oh, we're going full on scrunch here. And then there's also like a mesh kind of side panel. But we don't really have any under glute contouring. The mesh panel is really just on the side here as like a little bit of detailing. Not very obvious either, other than like if I actually stretch it out, you can definitely see it's mesh. Versus if I show you a normal part of the legging, it's not as see-through as the mesh part. And the mesh part is really just on the side, so don't worry about that. But yeah, you can definitely see my nail polish color through and everything. Yeah, back also massive Alphalete logo, of course. But yeah, so these are kind of like, the Amplifies are kind of like the original like intense booty scrunch legging, I would say. You can also tell me if you disagree, of course, but yeah, let's see these on. Okay, and if you feel like, oh my god, this looks so much darker right now, I hope it doesn't. But yeah, the weather has turned. Like this morning, the sun was out, it was blue skies, and now it looks like it's gonna like pour down on us any second. Anyway, we have the Alphalete Amplifies here, probably like the leggings that started the whole, everyone was being obsessed with the booty scrunch situation. And these are high-waisted as well. We have this 3-tiered waistband, so loosest up top so you don't get like a squished muffin top situation, and then a little bit more compression here. Honestly, I don't really feel the difference. But that's also, I have the small waist, right? And I'm sized again for this part, so maybe that's why. We do not have a front seam, and then lengthwise, again, as per usual, kind of like a 7/8 length. I mean, you have this mesh panel here on the side. You can also see it comes all the way up. So yeah, if you wear black underwear, it might be a little bit more visible because this part is definitely a little bit on the see-through side here. So yeah, I'm currently wearing nude underwear. But you can also, of course, pull it higher up so it's kind of in the waistband area, but like don't wear anything like super wide, like a boy short kind of thing. It would definitely be showing. Now, I did not really understand the side panel here. I don't think it really does anything other than maybe give you a little bit more ventilation. But honestly, like otherwise, like what does it do, right? And then of course, we do have the scrunch in the back here. No underglute, right? Nothing like pushing the glutes up here, but we do have the scrunch. And yes, this one does look the most extreme, at least when I look at the little screen. I do think this one looks the most intense, but also I feel like it obviously looks like it is a scrunch, which it is, right? It is a scrunch, so obviously it's gonna look like that. But for me, that's not like, I don't know, I don't like that. You can tell me if you feel like this looks different than the Almond Shaped Seamless leggings. I think it does. But yeah, so we do have the scrunch here. Honestly, it feels similar to what the Shaped Seamless leggings does. But when I squat, I guess it's not a but, it feels the same kind of like, also there's a little bit of tightness, not too intense, a little bit. Yeah, and it stays put in the crack there. So this is kind of what people have been loving for years, and now I don't think Alphalete pushes the Amplifies as much anymore. I think they have moved on to a different legging, but with a very similar style of glute seam. So yeah, I don't really follow Alphalete that much. I haven't reviewed them properly in years because I was disagreeing with some of their things where it was like, because when Brexit happened, right? Because the European warehouse is in the UK, which is like, after Brexit, that's kind of useless unless you just shop to the or ship to the UK. A lot of like North American companies will have their warehouses in the Netherlands, for example, because the Netherlands have a big port. So that kind of makes sense. But basically there was an issue with, they were charging me taxes on my purchase. And usually when I'm getting charged taxes, I expect that that means that duties and taxes are paid. But then of course, when it came to Sweden, because I was still in Sweden at the time, I still had to pay duties and taxes, which is like, but you already charged me taxes. Like, so I was arguing with them and they were like, oh, but no. Because when I shop from any North American brand from the North American website, they will not charge me taxes because the taxes will be charged once the piece comes to the EU. But they didn't change that for their UK website, and that's kind of the one you're supposed to ship or buy from. And yeah, then I just refused to buy from them. I have this whole video explaining that up here. Because I think I can also, technically I can buy from the US website and then they're not going to charge the taxes. But anyway, like back then it was definitely like, oh, only the people shipping to we only ship to the EU from the UK website. I think they've changed it since then, maybe because of that issue. But yeah, that was stupid. Anyway, here, these are the Amplifies. This is what we're talking about, right? And I mean, they do amplify the glutes, right? By giving you the separation. But for me, it's just like, I don't know, not the, like the scrunch. It definitely looks much, much better than the Gymshark butthole booty scrunch, even though the idea is the same, right? Even though the idea is the same, this one looks so much better. Like they've definitely improved something there. They have figured out how to do it, and you can really, really see the glute separation. And of course, this is not where people stopped. There's a lot more going on with booty scrunches and glute enhancing leggings these days. So we're going to move on to that. Moving on to, I think I will mention two different seamless leggings that I have seen launching recently. And we've also seen them like last year already. But like these have become a little bit more intense. We have a similar style of booty scrunch as the Amplifies, but there's so much more happening with under glute contouring, like really like framing the glutes. The first leggings that I want to mention is the Miracle Seamless Leggings by Buffbunny collection. I'm gonna just insert a picture. They launched like 17 different colors and shorts and leggings in one of the recent launches. And those ones are like kind of really intense. With the under glute contouring, the scrunch in between, like it looks, for me personally, it is too much. Like I don't want my butt to just be like a giant blob of two blobs basically. I will also see if I can insert a picture that has a little bit more of a detailed view of how the cheeks look in that one. But if I don't find it, I mean, just trust my word, I guess. But yeah, so that one was already a little bit like, okay, this is a little too much for me. They did originally launch them last summer, and some people also liked these back then, and I think they have improved something. They've improved the fit, I don't know. The seamless material itself, I kind of like. I've tried one of their leggings that didn't have an intense scrunch in that same material, so that's pretty nice. It's not super squat proof. A lot of seamless material is not, because it's just knitted, and it's a little bit harder with that, I don't know. But then they recently did launch, and that was also a relaunch, but they've reworked them and improved them as well. They recently launched their Waterfall seamless leggings. And boy, I did see a post on Reddit where someone said, okay guys, we have lost the plot. And I kind of tend to agree. Now, you might disagree, you might think this is amazing, you love it, and that is perfectly fine for you. And to be fair, I've seen one or two people that they actually did look good on. But I've seen a lot of people where I was like, it's just not it. And that is also, of course, personal opinion. Now, with these Waterfall seamless, I'm just gonna include a picture here. This is just a normal picture. And then I will try to see if I can find that picture that someone had used for the Reddit post. And this is something that one of the athletes had posted, because she thought, look at this, wow, amazing, great. But yeah, if I can find it, I'll put it on the screen. And the under glute contour is so tight, like so tight. It looks a little ridiculous, especially from the side. Like literally looks like you're getting cut off. Like, there's some people who train with these bands on their thighs or something to like really, like it's something with the blood flow, right? Like to kind of get the blood flow in a certain area, and that should improve like, I don't know, muscle building and I really don't understand. I haven't really looked into it. But anyway, like it looked like you had like one of these bands just right under the glutes. And in such an extreme way, I don't know. I was like, this is too much. Finally, I felt like this is too much. And this is something I personally would never wear. Now, again, if you're like, oh my God, this looks amazing and I love it, you go. Okay, you go, girl. I like all the power to you. I really don't mind. I'm sure there's things that I wear where people are like, what is this? Like, you wear what you love, what you feel comfortable with. But I'm just voicing my personal opinion here. For me, this is too much. And again, I've seen like 1 or 2 people, and to be fair, these were like really intense, like competition people, like bodybuilder type people that don't have a ton of fat, right? They just have a ton of muscle. And then I felt like it actually looked good on them. But I do not see this being a good fit for most people, personally. Anyway, so these are kind of like the more extreme end of the spectrum, I would say. Let me know what you think, where you feel like which part of the spectrum you like in terms of glute accentuation. Maybe you're on the very low part that I didn't even show, right? Straight across glute seam is perfectly fine for you. No glute seam, perfectly fine for you, right? No seam at all. But do let me know. I'm always curious, like kind of what the consensus is. How many people do love an intense scrunch? How many people are like, I like a little bit of scrunch, but not too much? Do let me know. And if you have any like recommendations for like good scrunch leggings, I'm kind of like, always looking to try and see if I can get converted, of course. Do let me know as well. And if you want to see more videos on booty scrunches, also let me know. I did, like, back in the first weeks on YouTube, I guess, I did a video on booty scrunches where I ordered like a bunch of Amazon leggings, and that video actually like exploded. I'm just gonna link that up here in case you wanted to have a little throwback. And yeah, let me know what you think. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was informative. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel so you get notified about all the new videos that are coming out and you don't miss one. And yeah, you can subscribe and you can like. Otherwise, you can also follow me on Instagram. You can DM me there, but I'm more likely to see your comments here on YouTube. So if there's ever anything you want me to see, you want me to respond to, drop a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.